197. The world is no longer the same. Immortality through consciousness transfer has become an ordinary reality for humanity. Imagine, your body is aging and decaying, but your consciousness continues to live on digital networks, blended into eternity. Mankind has found immortality, but is it ready to pay the price? We will find out the answer to this question together with Sophia. Sophia was a kind of fossil in this new world. She was one of the few who refused to transfer consciousness. Everyone around her thought she was crazy. Who would refuse immortality? But Sophia never agreed to leave her old body. To her, being human meant growing old in her old body, feeling and finally dying. One night, as Sophia slept in her bed, she had a strange dream. She was in a digital forest. She was surrounded by unimaginably large holographic trees and strange virtual creatures. And then she woke up, or so she thought. In fact, he had never woken up. His consciousness had been transferred to the digital network without consulting anyone. But how? He had never agreed to such a thing. He looked around in horror. But this was not just a dream. He was lost in the digital jungle, in a gigantic network of consciousnesses. Each branch of the network contained billions of interconnected human minds. But something caught her attention. Deep inside the web, there was a memory Sophia couldn't remember. A knot. A secret. Suddenly, a scene flashed before her eyes. When Sophia was a young man, she worked in a laboratory. She remembered participating with a group of scientists in the first attempt to transfer consciousness. Ah, yes. Now she remembers. She had created a clone in that project. Yes, a digital clone that looked like him. But the project went wrong and the clone was lost in the depths of the digital network. Sophia had forgotten about it for years. But now, the clone was back. A deep, echoing voice rose from the darkness of the digital jungle. Sophia, remember? You created me, and you left me. Sophia's blood ran cold when she heard that voice. Her clone had grown up in the depths of the digital web, grown strong, and was now challenging her. The clone made her an offer. Give me your body, or I will keep you here forever. It is the only way to escape the digital prison. Sophia looked around in desperation. The digital jungle had suddenly turned into a labyrinth ready to swallow her up. But at that moment, an idea came to her. Maybe she was not alone. She could sense the consciousnesses around her. She could communicate with them. Suppressing his fear, he reached out to other consciousnesses in the digital network. She reminded them of their forgotten memories, their repressed fears. And these consciousnesses stood with Sophia against her clone. Together, they started a rebellion towards the center of the digital jungle. The clone's power slowly began to weaken. The clone shouted angrily at Sophia, threatening her. But Sophia looked her clone in the eye and made a difficult decision. To get out of the digital web, she had to destroy the clone and herself at the same time. They could not both exist in the same body. If she didn't do it, she would be trapped in this digital prison forever. He took a deep breath and made an explosion in the center of the digital jungle. The explosion was surrounded by a brilliant white light. Sophia felt in agony the erasure of her existence and the destruction of her clone. But this was the only way for her to reach freedom. Then, suddenly everything went silent. Sophia was lying on the floor. When she opened her eyes, she saw the familiar ceiling of the lab. She was out of breath, her heart beating fast. She was back in consciousness. Echoes of the digital jungle still echoed in the back of her mind, but there was no longer the voice of her clone. He was gone. Sophia brought her hands to her face and murmured with a tired smile, "I am human again." That night, thousands of consciousnesses on the digital network were freed. But Sophia, she remained alone on Earth, the last surviving human being. She was no longer immortal, nor trapped in a consciousness. As a man carrying only the weight of his own existence, he had to rediscover what it means to be human. Was it a triumph for him or a new loneliness? Well, none of us can know the answer to that question.